Hello all. My call sign's up in lights. Haven't made a video for a while, so I thought I'd best let people know that I'm still alive. I'll do a little bit of an update on me. Not much has changed around here since my last video. Not a lot to report that way. I bought my microphone, which I showed in my last video, was all decayed and crumbling to pieces, so I bought a Chinese one. I think is the same as the one you've got, Fred, in the shed. Sunderly, is that how you pronounce it? I had to tailor the radio's EQ settings to 450, and it worked quite well for $19.99, I think it was. So that's that one. So yeah, definitely works well for 20 quid. Whether the cable will get all frayed and go a knacker like the last one did, I don't know. But yeah, bit of a micro switch going on there when you press it. It'd be very unlike the standard Yaesu one, but then the standard Yaesu one you wouldn't buy for 20 quid. So it tied me over. However, Mr. 2121 there, Mr. Adrian, I'm not sure what his call sign is these days, because he changed it, but it's still 2121. Did me a good favour. He did me two good favours actually, so thumbs up to Adrian. Thank you very much, Adrian. It's very much appreciated. He's done me some good turns. You know, when you need 20-footer coax, or you need a female to female connector plug or something, for me he's been the man. I can ring up and he's normally got one spare in his box or something, so he's helped me quite a lot over the last few months, so thank you, Adrian. He had this microphone surplus to his requirements. Somebody just sent me a message by the sound of it, but it's a bit worn. I wouldn't say it's knackered. For the price I paid for it, I can't complain. It's got wear marks on it. It's an Adonis. I think it's called a 308. I can't actually see the model. Yeah, it is there, look. A model AM 308. I've had some good reports. I only actually got it working yesterday. I don't know if it's supposed to have the fluffy windshield there or not, but yes, I've had some good reports. For anybody who hasn't seen one of these before, you can unplug that there at the back and put a different mic lead in so it fits a Kenwood or an ICOM or something other. This one came with a Yaesu one. On the bottom there's a switch for FM and SSB. I haven't really tried it out in all modes as such. I have given it a quick tester, and if your audio is a bit too strong, there's a pre-select or a pot in there that you can turn up or down with a screwdriver. So it's quite good. The trouble is it picks my fish tank up. People tend to say, oh, I can hear a noise in the background. Sorry if the camera went out of focus there. I'm hand holding this. You will see my ugly face at some point during this video, so any small children or people with heart conditions or likely to faint, you will see me face yet again. I don't appear very often in my videos, but so you have been pre-warned. That's that one out the way. At some point over Christmas, I was a bit naughty, and this radio here I had turned up quite high, for me anyway. I had it doing a marvellous 35 watts on FM. I don't normally go above 20. If it's somebody right in the distance, I would turn it up probably to 40, but I wouldn't transmit for long on that sort of power, because you know, output transistors or whatever's in that, I'm not that technically minded. But when you start pushing a bit of power, you know, I've always said let the radio take it easy, use a little burner, which comes on to the problem I created. Move this stuff out the way in my untidy man cave that I will one day spend a whole day tidying up. 203p, I bought it brand new, it worked perfect for a long time, and then by accident, and I'm sure everybody's done this at some point, by accident I happened to glance down and realised it was turned on, and it had 35 watts through it on about 5 or 6 long keyovers. It didn't go bang, it didn't go pop, no smoke came out of it. I noticed my SWAR meter that I continually run in line there was very high. So it gives you sort of like a bad back SWAR. It gives you the appearance it is working. It goes click when you key up and the light changes colour. It does what it's supposed to do when it's working, except you get a bad SWR. I think these have 4 MOSFETs, and I think there are 5 each. The only problem is it'd be just my luck to buy 4 of them and find out it's a diode or a resistor. I have looked at the circuit board, can't find anything what's obvious that's burnt, so we'll just take it as an experience that I've knackered the 4 output transistors. That's the likeliest thing. I'm no electrician, well, that's my guess. To send it off and get it repaired would probably cost me in postage and everything else probably about 30 quid. So it's a white elephant. Yesterday, for something to do, I haven't had any chest pains since last Saturday. I thought I'd better start doing a bit because I've got to go back to work soon. I will get on about that later in the video, and then hopefully you can all turn off, whoever finds it super boring, because I'm sure some of you will do. I'll try and keep it as short as possible, but say as much in that time as I can. So I'm likely to skip conversations and you know. First of all, 26 Bravo Delta 33. I'd like to explain that. I was a Charlie Tango member for the last 2 or 3 years. 1017 was my number, and I'm on all these sites on Facebook, these radio sites for things for sale and swaps and various different sites. And one day, every time I turned on, I didn't see anything in my family. All I ever saw was all these things to do related to CB, amateur radio and everything else that I am interested in, and I've been doing it for the last 30 years. But there's a guy on there who continually puts stuff up about amateur radio stuff, and I'm not against amateur radios. I've got quite a few friends I talk to on a regular basis on the CB, and I intend this year to take my foundation licence, which is what I did about 1.5 years ago, but I never went for the exam. I was going through a bit of a depressive stage in my life or something, I'm not sure. Lacked in confidence, didn't go for the exam despite everybody saying I would have passed it. We don't know that one, do we? But so I didn't turn up for the exam, that was the end of that one. Everybody else passed, who I went with, 4 or 5 of us. So I do intend this year actually going for my foundation licence and not turning me back on CB, just simply when it's dead on CB, which it is at the moment, as you can see, nothing doing except me £4 of static that I constantly get on sideband all the time in these premises. And on the other radio, which is what I did yesterday, I had a silver rod lying around in the garden, a half wave high gain silver rod, so I put that up on a bracket 15 foot away from the A99, and so I've got 2 different antennas and 2 different radios. Going back to my burner that I burnt, I didn't finish the conversation on that. Going back to that, what I broke, like I say, I'm not the first one, I certainly won't be the last one. Adrian sold me this one, an old school B150 Zatagi. Now, I looked on the internet at them because I don't want to put too much power in it and make it go pop. It's an expensive game, you know, if you're going to keep blowing things up. So I looked on the internet at the specs and what you have to put into it, and it turns out the old style stuff, I can't remember ever doing this years ago, but as soon as I put it in line and keyed up, my SWR on the radio was very bad. It was just over a 3. And I thought, oh, that's not good, because my aerial's 1.4. So I looked on the internet, and apparently there's presets in this little Zatagi, and what you do is you turn a preset to get your SWR down when you're keyed up, when you're transmitting, and then you get a dummy load and a SWR meter, and then trim the other pot to get maximum output, which is 60 watts on FM with 4 watts input. So that's what I did. So now when I key the radio up, I'll have to turn the other one off. I don't want to... There's Adrian. I'll just speak to him quickly. Hello Adrian, I'll be with you in a minute, mate. I'm just making one of my quick YouTube videos, and I'm glad you got your T2LT up, and hopefully it's working fine.
Yep, looks like it's all tuned up nice now.
Total end stop to me. What's your SWR, mate?
I'm not on it now. I've got it on the analyzer here. I'm on 27250 midweek net frequency. 1.02.
Oh, 1.02. Very good. When you get that up high, mate, you're going to be astonished and disappointed at, like I was when I put my T2LT up. Astonished that I couldn't believe I'd wasted 130 quid on a Stereo Game Master, that worked just as well. band coverage wasn't as wide, but it did work just as well. If not, I'd probably say a little bit better. But I'm just making my video, so I'll be with you shortly.
Roger, roger.
I can't remember where I was in my video. Let's turn the background noise down, because if any music comes on I'll get flagged by YouTube. I never finished that one. See what I mean? I keep skipping, don't I, like a schizophrenic. 26. Turn this radio down. 26 Bravo Delta 33 is my old club call sign from years and years ago. 28 years ago to be more precise. When there was lots of people in the area. On radio there was, well, hundreds of members there. That's the old call sign I used to use. Anyway, going back to my story, what I was saying. Turn that back on. Basically what happened was, every time I went on a certain site, I kept seeing stuff related on the Charlie Tango site, the official site. All I kept seeing was posts about amateur radio, and I was in my mindset, I thought it was CB. I didn't realise it was CB and amateur radio, and I wasn't offended. I didn't spit me dummy out or nothing like that. It's just that I thought, well, I thought it was just for CB, not amateur radio. That's sort of a separate entity as far as I'm concerned. So I just sent him a simple message saying, can you give my number to somebody else please, I'll leave the group. And not only that, my number 1017, I've noticed on several occasions when I've been speaking to stations abroad, you say like 26 Charlie Tango 1017, and a few foreign stations have been a bit confused, and I've had to say it several times, 1017 and 1017, 1017. I've said it clearly and slowly, and quite a few people I've spoken to have got it wrong. So it wasn't a slip off the tongue one like I don't know, 1064 or 1964 or something like that. So my old Bravo Delta 33 never failed me years ago. It's a slip off the tongue number, 26 Bravo Delta 33, and everybody's always repeated it first time and got it correctly. And I spoke to Australia using that call sign once, several states in America years ago. So I thought I'll go back to that one. The club's no longer running. I'm probably the only I'm probably the only person to use a Bravo Delta. I'm also a Nancy Florida International member. I think my number's 33 on that one as well. I think they're a Holland-based group. I don't know if they're still going or not, but I was given that by the head man years ago for giving him directions to the train station in Coventry. He made me a member and saved me 30 quid, a lifetime membership. Never use it. I used to, but never use it. It's too much of a mouthful. So that's that one sorted. Why I'm no longer a Charlie Tango member. Nothing against them. Nothing whatsoever. No bad feelings. Nothing. It's just I didn't want to keep seeing amateur radio stuff on there because I thought it was purely CB. But I was wrong. Which I often am. So that's that one sorted. We've spoke about oh yeah, the desk mic. We spoke about the burner that I blew up. The microphone that I bought, what cost nearly 100 quid, works fine. The battery doesn't last as long as I'd like it to, but it does get very cold in this man cave at night time. It gets down to something like 5, 4, 3, probably 3 degrees as low as it ever gets. But batteries don't hold the charge very well in them sort of temperatures, do they? So yeah, and it stays in standby till I turn the rig off, and then probably 2 minutes later the light goes out and it disconnects and turns itself off. So yeah, that's one thing I would probably like to have seen. But then I could buy another battery and have spare ones charged up. That wouldn't be an issue, and they're only tiny batteries. I can't see them being very expensive either. So yes, it's providing you don't drop it. I've never dropped it yet on the floor, but I have used it. I can walk all around the house. I can go right down the road to the car park and still talk to people. I can go anywhere in my house, in the garden, and still talk to people. So yes, it is very good, very good. The only fault, and this is a fault that everybody has with these President Grant 2s, the audio when you get them is very low. And on this microphone, when you key it up, everybody says, oh, your audio is very quiet. So I did take the back off the radio and I did turn it up to the point where this was nice, loud and clear, and I've had some fantastic reports on it. That's that one. Now to get slightly boring, extremely boring, I'm going to talk about the NHS and the total system, what a shambles it is. So this is the boring side of the video that 99.9% of people will have absolutely entirely no interest whatsoever. So now is the time to switch off. Anybody who's still interested, stay tuned. Right, bit of history. I've worked all my life, I'm 53. I've worked all my life and never been on the sick. Yes, I've had sick days off work, off several jobs that I've done over the years, where I've had a week's sickness with the flu and things, but I've never actually been on the sick where I've claimed benefits. And the system stinks, and it's totally appalling, and it's a bit of an eye-opener. And I'll try in as fewer words as possible to explain. I had a heart attack. I didn't realise I was having a heart attack. I managed to survive that. And then the next night I had another heart attack, to the point where I couldn't get by that with my mind, because I have got my body, I've got a lot of tattoos, and I've got, I believe, a good pain threshold. I can take a lot of pain, but the next night after the first heart attack, that I didn't realise I was having a heart attack, I couldn't stand the pain. I was literally on the floor, kneeled down on the floor asking my wife to phone me an ambulance. Ambulance came, took me to the local hospital 3 or 4 miles away. Pressed the button on the machine I was wired up to, ECG machine. Doctor, whoever he was, says I had a rear heart valve blocked. They don't do stents in that hospital, apparently. So I get back in the same ambulance and spend 20 minutes travelling to Coventry University Hospital, straight in the operating theatre, and they put me a stent through my wrist. It depends which heart valve is faulty, blocked, or giving you problems. With men, I don't know if this applies to women, with a certain heart valve it would have gone just below my hover sac, between your testicle bag and your anus. I'm sorry to get technical. Sounds terrible. Yeah, it goes in that way if it's a different heart valve what was blocked, and I dare say they use different entrances or different places for different heart valves. I'm not sure. In my case it went through my wrist. Stayed in hospital for 3 days. I was astonished to find it was £8.50 to watch TV, old reruns of Dave and Top Gear. But when you're bored, you haven't got a window and you can't get out of bed for 3 days, not even to go for the toilet. You know, that's it. If you've got £8.50, you'll spend it, because you don't know if it's day or night, and you're continually disturbed by cleaners, people giving you injections, giving you things to drink, etc. I'm not moaning about any of this, by the way. I'm just telling you what happened. 3 days later they give me a heart scan, similar to what a woman has, a pregnant lady, a thing rubbed over the belly job, you know. 2 blokes come in the room with a computer. They give me about 40 minutes under my armpit, just below there, round the front, round the back. Said that it appeared that my other heart valves and that one was working fine. Keep taking the tablets, off you go. Now, I've never had any comebacks from the hospital to go in and be rechecked or rescanned or nothing. Fair enough. Since this happened, it's been 4 months. I've been off work. I've had a sick note off the doctor every time. The last sick note I got was for depression. I was feeling a bit under the weather, because I was going to bed and staying awake all night. I'd get a pain here or there, and that'd keep me awake, because I couldn't fall asleep thinking, am I having another heart attack? So sleepless nights, that affected me eating patterns, it affected everything. I got into a bit of a depression. I didn't go out of the house for 10 days, didn't even go out the front door for 10 days or get dressed. I'm not dressed now today. So I went to I had a letter come through from the Department of Work and Pensions, the people who pay you sick money, to say they wanted me to go into something house in Coffer House, I think it's called, in Coventry, and have an assessment. They kept me there purposely, I think, for about 4 hours, 3.5 hours. I was the last man in there to see a nurse to get my assessment. The nurse was about a 22-year-old girl with a short skirt on, who clearly hadn't had any experience in hospitals, I would say, but she's been genned up by the government, taking all the information, put it in a computer, that goes to somebody else who reads it all and decides you're not going to get your benefit. £72 a week I've been receiving. That's my sick pay, £72 a week. I applied for a little card, it's like a little plastic credit card, because every month I have to get my tablets. I have to take 3 in the morning, I have to take 1 twice a day. I have to take 6 tablets a day for the rest of my life. I can't drink on them. But this is my niggle, right? This is me big gripe. I have spoke to people who will say you'll have to go in for an assessment and they'll stop your money. Then you have to go through the procedure. It takes about 6 weeks, you know, to go in front of a board of medical examiners or whatever, argue your case, and then normally you get your money again. But you don't get the 6 weeks back pay. And of course, if you're in financial difficulty, for 6 weeks you've still got bills coming through your door for your electric, your gas, your council tax and everything else. And the first week of your claim you don't get paid for that either when you initially start your claim. So somewhere down the line, if you've got HP payments to make on a car, or your mortgage, your electric bills, all the rest of the direct debits people these days have coming out of the bank, you're in the shite big time unless you've got some money put by. Luckily for me, my wife's got a good job, and she's you know, we're not millionaires by any standards, but I'm sure there's people out there what would be in a worse boat than me. Now, I was all set to start back to work on the 15th of this month. I'm not sure what the date is today. Thursday the 11th it is of January. I was set to start back to work on the 15th, but what basically happened was last Saturday in the afternoon I started getting some severe chest pains. Luckily they only ever lasted for 3 or 4 seconds, but were very intense, and that subsided, and then 20 minutes later, half an hour later, I'd get another severe chest pain, and this carried on quite a few times over a period of about 4 hours. In my mind I was probably going to have another heart attack. I didn't. I made an appointment for the doctor, 4 days to get to the doctor. I got to see him. He's very laid back and relaxed, and says basically, oh, we all get pains and aches when we're getting older. Fobbed it off. So I don't know if he's in, you know, hand in hand with the pension people or the way it works, I don't know. But they're clearly, it's clearly designed to try and get you back to work as fast as possible. And obviously by every year they try and announce that people live longer now, so the retirement age is going up. Nothing to do with money or paying your pensions, is it? No, nothing to do with that. So I think they basically want you to go to work and die at work, I think is what their ultimate aim is, so they don't have to pay you any money. And because this is the ironical thing of my case for sickness pay. This is the ironical thing, what actually makes me laugh. It made me a bit angry, but I could see the funny side of it. Whilst I was being interviewed, the young girl witnessed me get a phone out of my bag. So because I could bend over and get a phone out of a carrier bag, and because I could walk 300 feet into the room, I was able-bodied and fit for work. That was it. I did point out to her at one point when she asked me to hold my arm up in the air, which gives me pain. It's from a motorbike accident. I've never had any time off work with it, by the way. Well, I have, but I've never claimed any benefit. Years ago, 10 years, 12 years ago, when I had a motorbike accident. Never claimed any benefits for it, but I did put it down on the form that I do suffer severe pain with my left shoulder. So she asked me to put my arm up, and I refused to do it. And she says, why won't you do it? And I says, because if you look at my sick note, it says I'm on the sick for depression. Not to do with my heart, not to do with my elbow, my arm, my foot or anything else. It's for depression and anxiety. That's what I was trying to explain to her. I walk the dog late at night, midnight, when nobody's about. No traffic, no people walking the streets. There's the odd person now and again, but basically when it's very quiet. Helps with my stress and anxiety. So yeah, I got a letter today, a brown envelope, to say they've stopped me money. I bent over from a leaning position in a chair and got a phone out to show her that I do walk my dog at night time. I showed her an app I've got on my phone to say that I am trying to get fit for work, and I do want to go back to work. I don't want to claim benefits because I don't get enough money to live on them. That's purely what I said to her. I said I want to get back to work as soon as I can. So that's it. I've had me moan and me gripe. I don't think I've missed anything out. So what I've had to do now is ring the doctors, try and make an appointment, ask the secretary if they can backtrack a sick note and get me back to work before the 28 days. So she says, well, we can have a word with your employer, because some employers won't allow you to go back till you've got a certificate from a doctor to say you're fit for work. Others are a bit more lenient and will allow you to return to work. So I've got in touch with work to say I might be back, I might be fit for work as from Monday. Disregard my 28-day sick note. Because my benefit's been stopped because they redeemed that I'm good enough to work, or healthy enough to work, despite the fact I was having mega chest pains last Saturday. So it seems to be the general procedure now. Once you've been on the sick for a while, they stop your money for whatever reason. They can have a million reasons, non-existent reasons. Then you have to appeal against it. I'm told by people who have done such things that normally when you're before the appeal board, they start your money again. It's just a little interruption service to stop paying you for 6 weeks while it goes through the process. So if they do that with 100 people, stop your money for 6 weeks, the government have saved some money, basically. But let me tell you this that I am certain about. When I go back to work, they will not hesitate to take my national insurance and my tax money out of my wages, as they've done since I was 16 years of age, 53 now. So take from that what you will. I do apologise for boring the tits off you if you've managed to stay this far, and hopefully I will have something in the future more positive to talk about. But as I say, thanks for watching. I hope you all really did have a nice Christmas and your families, and happy 2018 to us all. Thank you very much. Bye for now. Bravo Delta, or should I say 26 Bravo Delta 33, signing off in me rather untidy man cave. Thank you, take care all.